You know, you might be making plans to move to Costa Rica, and that's great. You get all your planning done, planning your residency, planning your housing, your health insurance. Have you thought about what plan you would have if you should die while you're in Costa Rica? It's something to think about. I'm in the middle of this process, working it out. My name is Sandra. I've been living in Costa Rica for over 20 years. This is just a coffee pick a minute, meaning something to think about. Right now, I'm having a cup of tea because I've been working on this project for a while. Oh my goodness. Unfortunately, I have experienced what happens when a person dies in Costa Rica. That's a whole story in itself. And so I'll go into that another time. And it was unexpected, relatively unexpected. But I'm doing something that a lot of people don't think of doing, whether it's here or even in their home country. It occurred to me that in all of my busyness that I had not done any type of funeral pre-planning, like setting aside money or anything. And I've been here long enough to see the chaos that happens when someone who's moved down here, they've moved by themselves, they don't have any family members to help take care of things. And what happens? People have to have a garage sale, to make arrangements. They have to get permission. It's complicated. It can be complicated. Now, I've been working on this for a little while, and I'm still working on it. I don't have all the final details. I think I have one step more to do, and I'm sure things will change. But I just thought I would share the process and what I am working on and what I'm doing. One of the issues is that if you don't have a first degree family member here in Costa Rica, then no one can authorize, and I'm opting for cremation, no one can authorize your cremation. You would have to get someone either to come, or I guess they can do signatures digitally, track down somebody, a contact or whatever. So you have that. And then the other was, how would it be paid for? If they do funeral processes, handle things pretty quickly, and there's no bill me later. It's pay me before I touch you is the routine here. And so somebody has to have money up front to pay the funeral people. So how am I going to do that? I didn't want to pay a plan because things change. I don't know, just trying to think ahead. I don't know if I'm still going to be here, and I also felt too that with that same money, because who knows, it could be tomorrow, it could be 10 years from now or whatever, I just as well have access to that funds, and have that grow. And so that's where I'm thinking. So I don't want to lock into Costa Rica per se to pay for a plan here, and then for whatever reason have to move back to the States and then not be able to use it. So that's the other thing. So I had to kind of figure out, okay, how am I going to structure, where am I going to put the money, and then how am I going to do the authorization when I don't know any specific details. I have identified one person that I feel that I can trust to carry out my wishes. They're a witness on my will, which is a whole nother thing. So you have to have like 5 witnesses on your will. So they're one of the witnesses on my will that I made out like 15 years ago. So I figured, well, they're just as good a candidate as anyone. So I have to trust them to work out the arrangements for me. I do have an option. Let's say if I know for sure that I'm planning to stay in Costa Rica, I have an option. Okay, I can prepay a plan. And then also, I checked with my health insurance company regarding repatriation of remains if I'm traveling. So then what happens? So the way it works is that since this is my primary residency for my health insurance that I have, which is a private health insurance, they will authorize the preparation of the body and return it back to Costa Rica. So at least the plan would be used if I continue as a resident and just happen to pass away while I'm traveling. So all of these different details like are moving pieces, right? So it's something to think about when you are planning a move. And you might think, well, I'll just go back to the States. Well, it doesn't work that way. When my husband died, it was like that. I mean, it was just close the eyes, just like that, like mid sentence, okay? And today on the news, they were talking about how many traffic deaths there were just last year. The number has grown. I believe it was 572 deaths last year. And every year the number has been going up. And then there was another story in the news today of a foreigner that was walking in a park and probably just exercising or just sightseeing in the park and passed away in the park. And so they made a little point in the article, if you're a foreigner, be sure that, you leave details about your whereabouts and how people can contact, your loved ones or whoever would be making arrangements for you. So it's not a fun subject to think about. And I think it's something that most of us put off. We don't want to think about it. We think, oh, I'm still young, but it's not so much young, it's the fact that if you have life, you have to think about this particular aspect. So what I've worked out so far is I'm working with my lawyer to give authorization to a trusted person who will sign for my cremation. Since I don't have a relative in town or in the country or who I feel could get here soon enough in order to do an authorization, then my best option is have someone, a trusted person that I feel can carry out my wishes. So I have that. The lawyer's working on that. I had to decide on what type of savings account would I use. I didn't want to just use just something that was attached to my regular accounts where I could see it. I don't want to see it. And also, I didn't want it to be something that could easily be affected by fraud. Unfortunately, the fraud people are so good at getting your money out of your account or out of your hands that I didn't want it to be accessible to that type of situation. So I found a fund. It's an investment fund. It's a Mixto Colones. And so it's in Colones, and I had to think about that. It took me a couple of months to think about it. In the meantime, the exchange rate dropped. So while I was thinking about it, I lost $80 in exchange rate. But anyway, I went ahead and bought Colones and then have invested in this fund through the bank. So it's actually, through a fund through the bank, and it earns interest daily. So that was kind of exciting to see. After the first day it earned, some colones, and the second day it's earned some colones. So it's making up for the colones that I've lost. And I don't know anything about investing. A lot of you are fire and no investing. I know zero, nothing at all. So, absolutely a novice. And it was quite obvious in my questions to the fund administrator. And I told him that as well. And all the information is available in Spanish, which was a little bit of a challenge because I don't know those words in English, let alone Spanish. But anyway, basically, he assured me that the funds are safe, something that's regulated by the government. And the worst case scenario is if the Costa Rica economy, which is strong right now, if it just crashes and burns. So he says, just watch. If you see your interest rate dropping, well, then know that there's an instability that's happening. But as long as the interest rate stays and they show what your interest rate is, you can go in the app and see it. And you can see what you earn every day, which I don't plan to do. But I wanted to stay over there, and I have have that one person designated as a beneficiary. And I have two people to contact in the case of an emergency. And that's something else that came up that I now need to look at uh, because the lawyer pointed out to me that there's a change in law that if you want to have like your durable power of attorney registered, you need to actually do that through a process um, going through the Caja system. And so there's a whole registration and steps and everything, and I need to actually go through and look at that. But every day there's something new. That law came into effect. It was published in October or something like that, just a few months ago. So you have to take two witnesses with you, either to a lawyer or down to the registry in San Jose or to a doctor and in front of a doctor and a nurse. I mean, it's just a whole process. And then you go over here and you go over there and you register it over there and everything like that. So when you move to Costa Rica, the first step, as you're planning that move and coming, that's good. But the purpose of my channel is just to show you some of the real life things that you deal with just living here, just living here, and unfortunately dying here. That you need to have that worked out and you have to have it planned, what you would do, how you would handle it if unfortunately something happened to you while you're here. And just the whole process of your family being notified and someone handling your funds and whatnot. Um, so this is to be continued. I just thought tonight, as it's on my mind, and I'm just dealing with it right now. But I thought, boy, this would be a subject that other people would benefit in knowing. I don't know. I mean, I've not spoken to anybody who has done this process. A lot of people just kind of wait and count on GoFundMe or something. I don't know. Um, or if it's a couple, that's one thing because the other person could sign. But, many of you are retired, a single woman moving, and yeah, it's beautiful. The move, Costa Rica is beautiful. But the Costa Rica law is something that you would need to understand how it works. And I think a lot of people get a little tripped up because the Costa Rica law is Costa Rica law. It is not the U.S. And so, in all your brilliance, and I've said this before, and all the things that you know how to do at home, it doesn't apply here. so, so I just something to think about is a process. You have to have authorization for cremation. Also, autopsy is legally required. for a cremation. And then and who's going to handle your funds, and then of course all the other things that go along with your possessions, your dog. So I still got to get to that part. But anyway, right now I'm just up to this part. We'll see what happens as I continue and have it kind of fleshed out a little bit more. But I just want to share my process on pre-planning your final expenses once you move to Costa Rica, and I would suggest you do it sooner rather than later. All right, this is Sandra. Join me on this journey as you enjoy your life here in Costa Rica, and this is just a coffee pick a minute, and we'll talk to you again.